Hi, everybody. Welcome to IDEO U's Creative Confidence series. I'm Suzanne Gibbs Howard, the founder and dean of IDEO U, and I'm here with fabulous Brendan Boyle this morning.
Yes, I'm Brendan, and I'll be your instructor for the
From Ideas to Action.
Ideas to Action. Boy, it's a little bit rainy in Palo Alto today, which is unusual for us, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're so glad you guys are joining us. So it's really great.
So as everybody's coming in, we're thrilled. We had a lot of people sign up to participate today. If you can, we welcome you to introduce yourselves. I'm going to give you 2 ways to participate with us today. So way number 1, right there in your Google Hangout, you can go to the upper right-hand corner, and there's a little icon of 9 boxes like this. And then you can go to a little Q&A button, and there you can introduce yourself. We'd love to hear who you are, where in the world you're calling from. We know we've got people from all over the globe joining us today. So it's always fun to hear who you are, where you are in the globe, and what you're focused on these days. One other way that you can participate is you can tweet. You can come to us at IDEO U, and if you give us a little hashtag with the title of the course we're launching next week that says From Ideas to Action, and send us questions, send us things that you're wondering about, and we are very excited to share with you today.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this class. I also teach over at Stanford's D School. I'm a toy inventor, so that puts me right in the heart of ideating and prototyping. That's how I actually make my living. So this is a really great class, and hopefully you'll have a better understanding of it from this morning.
You want to tell everybody a little bit about where we're sitting today, right here in the toy lab in the heart of Silicon Valley.
We're in the toy lab in my office, and it doesn't look like a typical office. It's filled with funny toys and objects and things like that, but it's really great, and let's get going.
Yeah, sounds good. We've got Em here, Em Havens, who is from our online learning platform. She runs and facilitates and designs all the experiences inside of the courses. So she's taking your questions and here to help us share with you. So here's what we're going to do today. We wanted to give you just a little taste of From Ideas to Action. And so we're going to share one of our favorite techniques with you. It's called the mashup. And this is a technique that we find is just an amazing one to help people get their creative juices flowing. It can work for individuals if you're sitting in a room and you need to come up with fresh ideas by yourself. And it's also something great that any one of you can just bring to your teams, use in a project that you've got going right now. And so we're gonna share that technique with you, the mashup technique. We'll tell you a little bit more about the course that Brendan's gonna start sharing next week, From Ideas to Action. And then we're just gonna open it up for questions. And we know we've received a few things already on Twitter prior to starting this. So we can see we've got people at Ites and Milan. Welcome to Mark joining us from Seattle. And we're excited you guys are here with us today. All right, with that, just one more time, if you wanna send us questions through Google+, go to the little 9 boxes and go to QA is probably the best way to get in touch with us. We're also on Twitter.
You're just joining us a little bit late. I'm Brendan, your instructor for the upcoming course, and this is Suze, the dean of IDEO U, and we're in lovely Palo Alto.
All right, with that, I am gonna start sharing a little presentation with you. Oops. All right. Woo, the mirrors of everything at once. All right. So in just a few seconds, I think we're going to transmit over the fabulous dynamic interwebs. You can see, wow, you guys can go through the little mirrors there, and here we go. You should see something now that says learn to solve anything creatively. And so this is a series that we're offering out to people as part of IDEO U. IDEO U, we have online courses that people can join, but we just love sharing some of the tips and tricks that we have so that we can help anybody anywhere in the world learn to solve anything more creatively. And so just a teeny bit about IDEO. IDEO is a design and innovation consultancy. We are constantly working on projects all around the world where we are bringing more creative approaches, more creative solutions, and helping our partners and our client organizations learn to be more creative themselves. And so just a teeny bit about IDEO. We have been around for over 36 years. We have 10 offices all around the globe, and we're a group of over 700 designers. And so with that, we've created 5,000 innovative products, services, environments, brands, and organizations. So way over on the left here, you can see that we started off and we're well known for working in some of the earliest consumer-facing technologies, things like Apple's first mouse back in 1980. That was something that we began to design where we needed to understand people, their needs to design appropriate technologies. Over time, we've evolved to all sorts of different products. For example, in orange there, you can see that we redesigned a very iconic experience, the student desk, which can be very painful and very constricting for many people trying to learn. But we created an innovative desk for Steelcase that's been award-winning and rolls around and allows people to collaborate and integrate technology.
And if you're a left-hander, it works for you too, so you don't have to sit in the corner of the class. So
yes.
That's cool.
Yes, people of all shapes, sizes,
Right.
and handedness are really happy in these desks. Another thing that we've worked on, we've done a lot of work in hospitals and in healthcare. We'll talk a little bit about this work today, where we've designed better service experiences in hospitals. Hospitals are so focused on some of the things they need to be focused on, keeping people alive, solving their healthcare problems, but as a result, the service experience is often very low quality, and we'll share a little experience today with dialing up that service experience. And then the last two projects, just to share the full range, we've designed entire school systems in the nation of Peru, where the middle class is fast rising and school systems were having trouble keeping up with the quality of education that was in demand from the growing emerging classes in Peru. So we worked with them to not only design the education system, but the way to keep the teachers up to speed and developing professionally, and the entire business model and space for the Nova school system. And this has been very successful and fast growing. And one of my personal favorite projects that we have going right now is working for one of the largest, most populated counties in the United States, LA County, where we are developing the voting machine and all of the services and systems around that so that voting is more accessible to more people, no matter what language they speak and no matter if they have any challenges with sight, with hearing, with mobility. So that's kind of the range of things that IDEO focuses on. Now what I want to do is dive into the course that we are bringing to you. It starts next week, April 13th, and this course is called From Ideas to Action. In this course, what we do is help people think about how to bring innovative ideas to life, different techniques for ideation, and then moving through a series of prototypes so that others can collaborate with you and you can progressively bring your vision to life in the future. And so with that, we're going to dive into a really fun technique. So what we often find is that when people are working on the ideation phase, everyone knows brainstorming. Brainstorming is great. We're huge brainstormers here at IDEO, and we think lots of people around the world brainstorm. But that's not the only technique. And so we've sat with Brendan, we've pulled some of his amazing and fun techniques together, and Brendan's gonna share a little bit about a technique called the mashup with you.
Yeah, thanks, Suze. A big part of coming up with ideas is getting yourself in this divergent mode of thinking. Most of us have become really good at convergent thinking. We have to make decisions every day, we have to make them quickly. So it's the challenge is to flip it, and how quickly can you go to this divergent mode of thinking, which is the way creative people come up with ideas. So some folks say, hey, Brendan, I'm not creative. I don't have any big ideas. And I said, well, that's really not the way creative people think. They come up with lots of ideas, and then they hope there's some good ones in there. So the mashup is a really fun technique, and it's sort of a guaranteed way to get yourself out of this convergent thinking. And a lot of ideas, new ideas are actually combinations. So we do a lot of lists at IDEO, create lists in different categories, and then we see if we can combine some ideas. And that's a really powerful technique. So if you come to IDEO, you'll see tons of Post-its with lists and then ideas where they're sort of mashing them up. So, you know, here we took a little dog and then we got him sweeping, right? So probably a little bit ridiculous, but I can tell you this. If you're going to have a brilliant idea, it has to be borderline ridiculous. So because there's so many good ideas out there, so you need to push yourself. So this little image that just popped up on the right, this is for scrubbing, bathtubs and things like that. And we're designing a better handle for this thing, and we're working on it really hard. And then we mashed up, we mashed up sort of a broom handle with this thing because we noticed people were scrubbing the top of the shower walls, and they couldn't reach it. And sort of a really nice execution, and that idea did super well in the marketplace.
One thing we know, just technologically, there's a teeny weeny bit of a delay here in what you guys are seeing and what we're seeing. So if now you should be able to see in the lower right-hand corner the Magic Reach, which was a fabulously successful project for Procter & Gamble.
Thanks, Suze. And then these are some mashups that I actually did a book on this whole concept. And you'll see some funny ones, that pass-protected stapler, maybe the credit card with a comb. That, who knows? Maybe that could be helpful if you're in a bind and you find yourself out and your hair looks terrible and you forgot your brush. So I think the top one is a salt shaker ring. So those are ones sort of pushing the limit, and it's great to have mashups that are sort of ridiculous, because then you can push yourself the boundaries a little bit. So this is two categories. We're inventing or innovating in the hospital area, the hospital room. So we'll start to look at, you can go there and see what you could improve and make stuff better. But boy, what if you mash that up? Similar analogous category, hospitality, hotels. And both people are sleeping, both people are checking in, checking out. So what would you do? So we looked at that, created a list, and then started to mash them up. We noticed the mini bar was really popular in almost most hotels, right? That's a relatively new innovation over the last 25 years. I don't know if they had mini bars, but we first started joking. What if you had a mini bar in your hospital room? That first seemed ridiculous. Like, well, who's gonna put alcohol or drink alcohol in your? So yeah, quickly you pull that out, and it's not about the same types of products, but different products that would be easy and convenient to get there. So really nice solution. And we found the folks visiting their loved ones in the hospital found this a really great experience. So I'm going to challenge you guys, after this session is over, to try this mashup and try it with the hospital and hotel. So it's really easy. It's list making. You can do it by yourself. Create as many sort of things that you would find in a hospital. Pretend you're shopping in the hospital. Sometimes the more unique, the better. And then do the same list for a hotel. And I've got a few things listed here: swimming pool, choice of pillows, concierge. In the hospital, I have thermometer, hospital bed, nurse. Just list as many things as you can. Don't judge, just list. And then look at your two lists together and see if you can come up with something. And you can noodle on that idea a little bit. And it's a really sort of fun way. If you can do a quick sketch of it, even better. Doesn't have to be a great sketch. Think of back of the napkin sketch. The famous inventions are all on the back of the napkin. We should have more of those napkins around here. These are a few that we challenged ourselves. Susan and I challenged ourselves here and came up with a few. So you got a thermometer, you got a pillow in the hospital. Boy, they're always taking your temperature. What if you just lied down on your pillow and it changed different color, like a mood ring, right? So it'd be bright red if you're over 102 or something, and be perfectly nice blue if you're 98.6.
Something like that.
Suze,
I think one of the ideas that I thought was super fun that we had when we were doing this just the other day was that in a hotel, you've got that on-demand entertainment, movies flowing all the time. And in a hospital, they're constantly checking in with you on your mental health. Well, could the hospital just analyze the data behind the movies that you're watching there in the hotel? Like if you're watching horror films or really depressing romantic movies, maybe they tell something about you. Whereas if you're watching comedy, maybe they know like everything's okay.
So borderline, perhaps that one more on the ridiculous. The pillow one I think is cool. And the one on the bottom right, sure, it's physical therapy. If you ever had to go through that, it could be really tough and painful. But what if they actually did a little pedicure when you're down, get your nails and toes done at the same time?
Yeah. Or we also love that the hospital is pretty stinky and there's hand sanitizer all over the place. Why not integrate aromatherapy that you get right there in the hotel?
So this is just one ideation technique, and we'll talk about a lot more in the course, but it's a powerful one and perhaps one you haven't tried. So we encourage you to take up our challenge after this and see if you can come up with something. If you do, send it to us. We'd love to see it. So you can, Susan talked about the chair earlier, and this is a mashup of the old chair and something that moved around. The little bumper cars is a lot of fun, and it's exactly what we see in students' behavior. They love sort of rolling around on these things, keeps them more engaged in the classroom, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, even like the details of that mashup are so much fun. So you can just barely see in the picture of the student desk, there's like a little rubber bumper right on the front that when they they come together, you can feel like they have a purpose in coming together. The bottom example is a really fun one. So thinking about schools and school systems. And on the left, there's a picture of some students listening to a teacher who's just not rocking it in the classroom, who's just not fully engaging the students. And we all know how hard it can be to be a great teacher. And so we were thinking about ways when we were designing a school, how can we make the teachers even better? How can we help them share the things that they know with each other and yet make this possible to fit into a teacher's very, very busy life? And so business model wise and knowledge sharing wise, we mashed up a school with fast food restaurants. Fast food restaurants need to train people fast. They need to get them up to speed. They often have high turnover, so they need to keep that teaching going constantly. And so by mashing up hospitals with schools, we were able to get some really great training techniques that could help teachers be even better. So the mashup is just one, as Brenda was saying, of the techniques that we've pulled out of the expertise of IDEO, especially the expertise of Brendan Boyle and all of the techniques that he's used over years of working here at IDEO. And so the ideation is one, the mashup technique is one thing that falls into the From Ideas to Action course. So I'm just going to really quickly breeze through an overview of the rest of the course for you, and then we'll open it up for questions. So in From Ideas to Action, there are 3 major lessons. The first one is the art of ideating. So here we talk about the mashup, but we also talk about other techniques like e-storming, ways that you can brainstorm if your team is distributed all around the globe. Also scenarios and putting yourself into other people's shoes and how you can use that as a means to come up with fresh ideas. Lesson 2 in From Ideas to Action is about rapid prototyping. So here, when we want to create prototypes, oftentimes it's easy to think about things that are tangible and physical, but we also really believe that prototypes can be used for all sorts of different things. They can be used for digital experiences, they can be used for spaces. In the middle there, we're prototyping the entire experience on an airline. And so all sorts of things can be prototyped, and we share lots of case studies and lots of techniques that allow you to prototype, share it with people for feedback, and then iterate your way forward.
Yeah, and it's important to note, if you're not, if you think I can't prototype or I'm not comfortable with it, that's not what, we make that really easy, and it's about high level thinking and low fidelity prototyping to get that ideas out. So we make that sort of a, if you're new to that, it's gonna be great. Don't worry about it. And if you're old hat to that, then you can take it to whatever level you want.
Yeah, we've been really amazed. People inside of our courses who have never prototyped anything before are often the people doing the best prototypes. Yeah. We've seen people produce videos, make scenarios, really get inspired by the examples we share in the class and the other people who are taking this course alongside them from all over the globe to do things and prototype things they've never done before. So the last lesson inside of the course is iterating your way forward. Here it's about how do we make decisions and build a series of prototypes to progress toward market. We talk about the first prototypes, definitely quick and dirty, just get something out there. But then what are the various questions that you're answering about desirability, feasibility, viability, technological problems, financial solutions that you need to bring? What are business model questions? So I really love the picture on the lower right here, which is another one of our instructors, Colita Stafford, literally using children's toys to prototype a service experience and walk through what that experience might be like.
I think there's a real mindset around the iteration. And that's what really creative people do. They build something, they learn from it, and then improve it really quickly versus saying this is finished and let's move on to something else. So.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things we think is really important. We give you skills and we bring you through activities. We really believe in learn by doing at IDEO U. But it's about the mindsets. Right. It's about the way that you hold things, the willingness to fail in order to learn from it and eventually succeed. the means of bringing people together around your prototypes to keep momentum moving on any challenge that you're facing. And so with that, just a little bit more about the experience on IDEO U. This course, From Ideas to Action, will start on April 13th and it'll run through May 18th. So our courses open and close, and we do that because we know that people make more progress in learning when they're doing it with others, when learning is social. So you are in this course with a cohort of other people from around the globe, and then the course closes on May 18th. And this picture here is just a couple of the pieces of the experience that you'll move through. And then after this, we'll move to questions. But at a high level, you start off with bite-sized videos. Each lesson has 3 to 5 little short couple of minute videos, like YouTube length videos that teach you the big ideas, the mindsets, take you through activities so that you can practice right there. And then you apply everything you're doing to a project challenge. That can be a project challenge that we provide, or it can be something that you are working on yourself. There's that diverse learning community of a couple hundred people all around the globe, all sorts of diverse backgrounds that you can team up with and work on your project together, or also just have discussion. We have IDEO experts, not only Brendan, but also other people like myself and Em, and community guides who are there to answer your questions, give you feedback, help you get really specific. There will be another live office hours, a little bit more dynamic than this one, with Brendan and some of our other amazing designers here at IDEO to answer your questions. And with that, I'm gonna stop sharing and come back to the video with myself and Brendan in just 1 second. And I believe we have some questions flowing in. So welcome to everyone who has joined us.
If you just joined us, welcome. And you have to talk to someone and catch up, but we were at the question phase now. So it's always interesting to see all the different spots in the world that our students come from.
Yeah, we've got Oscar in London, Alex in Phoenix, Juan from Buenos Aires. We've got IBM Studios in Sao Paulo.
Wow, all right,
watching
IBM.
And already pivoting their ideas. So thanks to all the individuals and teams that have joined us today. Okay, so here's a question from,
okay.
Ask this one. So she says, hi, this is great. How do you come up with the items to mash up? Do you pull from a hat? Do you have lists ready, or is it random associations?
For me, if it's going through a hotel, I sort of physically or mentally go through that hotel and just start creating a list of everything I can think of. If I'm going through a sporting goods store, I think of that. You could actually go there and create lists, but yeah, it's pulling it out of your memory, and the more unique items will make for better, interesting mashups.
And then I think if it's which experiences do you even choose? So I think the student desk is a great one. We were looking at the student desk. It's very stuck. It's very stable, and we knew we needed to increase mobility. So we went to experiences like at an amusement park where things are highly mobile. You know, with the school, we were looking at things where we needed to increase training, and we knew training in schools was very hard. What's something where you get that fast pace? So you're looking for contrast.
Yeah, and if it's with a group, the first part, the group will just start throwing up things on a list and someone will write them down. But if it's redesigning a sports toy or something like that, we'll list obviously sporting activities, but then things that made you feel good as a kid, something like that. So you can have different types of lists. The more unique, the better. The great thing about that technique that we shared, and we'll share a lot more in the course, is that you can do it really fast. And so it's not a big investment, but you'll have a lot more ideas quickly.
All right, so here's another one from Mark. This comes up all the time. So we've talked about diverging and then converging.
Right.
And Mark asks, when and how do we prioritize ideas? What is the process?
Yeah, so after, say, a brainstorm or a mashup session, we'll quickly vote. Everyone will get a couple little stickers and we'll vote and see which ones rise to the top. And then it's at that point, you let a lot of ideas sort of fall to the floor, because it's important not to treat every idea equal when you're in a converging stage. When you're diverging, sure, come up with as many ideas as possible, but converging, that's the time, and that's what most of us are good at, but sometimes we're afraid to let ideas go. And boy, you have to be ruthless at that point, let those ideas go, and then take the ones you voted on and quickly prototype. And we'll talk about that in the course and see if they have merit. If not, go back and ideate again.
Yeah. Can you tell us about a time where maybe a team is having trouble prioritizing, or there was a contrast, you know, like competition? Somebody wanted one idea, somebody wanted another. How do you handle that?
Well, if someone's really passionate about an idea, we'll probably let them go play with it for a day or so. But it's easy to prioritize when you start to pull in things like schedules and budgets and other things. That's when the converging comes in place. But you want to spend enough time early in the process diverging, and you don't want to spend a lot of time when deadlines are due the next day to start diverging again, because it's you know, that's the wrong time. You need to you know, we have deadlines and schedules and things like that. So usually if folks, we rely on the team's sort of judgment to see which ones are elevating, but if someone really feels strong, let them play with it for a day or so.
Yeah, I think that's great. There's a lot in this question, a series of questions. What are tips to coming up with viable ideas? This is one, I'll share a little bit about my perspective here. This is one that I love. I think when I first started at IDEO over 15 years ago, I think a lot of times we would prototype ideas, and we were really, really fantastic at thinking about desirability, thinking about human-centeredness. What do people need? What do people want? And getting those ideas about. But really, I think the third lesson in this course is really important to me, because it's about thinking about desirability, viability, and feasibility. So when we're coming up viable idea, and we're thinking, how can this be financially possible? We do have lots of different techniques for thinking about business model innovation. Mm-hmm. You know, how do we think through, and there are some tools that we link to in the course, or things that you can find about a business model canvas on the internet. And there, what you do is you're thinking through a series of questions. And this is what we talk about in the course, is then when you have a question that you don't know the answer to, then you start to prototype it. So one of the questions that we were prototyping once, this is a good example of a service design. We're working with a financial services organization, and they were thinking, you know, how do we retain customers? They had a theory in customer support that was all about speed, number of questions that a single customer support person could answer in a particular hour, and people were rewarded for exactly that. Well, viability, we had a question about, what if you took that off the table? What if people were rewarded for the quality of the service that they gave, for the rating, for the score that they got in terms of a customer feeling happy? Does that increase loyalty? Doesn't it? And so we took that, we rewrote scripts for customer support. We brought people through scenarios and started to answer their questions. And then we looked at some of the metrics, and we said, you know, afterwards, is this something that would make you more loyal to this financial services experience? And so we started to answer those questions one by one. So I think the tips for viability are, think about what your questions are. What are the holes in your business model? What are the things that you don't know? And then you could just come right back and think of ways to prototype those.
Right on. From Ryan in Florida. Hi, Ryan. How might I encourage teachers to fail fast in this process if they're reluctant to share unpolished work? Yeah, that's a really big challenge. It reminds me of, we were working with an big apparel company. And I sort of noticed everyone's wearing their clothes at the office, and that makes sense, right? And I said, well, did you check out competitors' clothes? Well, we go to their stores. And I said, well, do you wear their clothes? And the manager was saying, well, you'd be frowned upon. You'd probably, you know, that'd be a big fail. So with one of the senior VPs, we came up with a cool idea where it was called Wear Competitors' Clothes Day to Work. Mm-hmm. So that gave permission on that one day, if they did have competitors' clothes in their closet, they could wear it to work and talk about it, and became smarter about the industry. So on something like this, how might I encourage teachers to fail fast? Maybe there's a permission day to, you know, we're going to have a who can fail fastest on this idea and show us a failure, and that might be the challenge, right? The other way to do it would be to try an experiment. We love things called an experiment because it disarms people a little bit. Well, I'm just doing an experiment over here in this one classroom. And then if it gets a little buzz about, ooh, that teacher's failing but learning, that would be great. And then you can share that story and get some momentum going.
Yeah, I think there's so much wisdom in what Brendan just shared. There's something that I seen it that there's something about time bounding that really helps. I think we're getting a lot of questions about how can you encourage people to fail in order to succeed? How do you encourage people to go for it and get those ridiculous ideas, the really wacky and crazy ones. And I think like time bounding is really the key. If you say, this is not forever, we're not going to believe in these ridiculous ideas till the end of time, but for an hour, let's think about it this way. Or for as Brendan was talking about, if somebody's got a new idea, give them a day to play with it, bound it in time, and that allows ideas to flow differently and people to behave differently. So
right on.
So we got a lot of questions here. Is there one that I thought was really fun is, can you talk about an experience where a team or you came up with a really wacky idea that eventually did have impact on the ultimate solution?
Well, the world of toys, pretty much everything's wacky. I remember coming up with a bubble bat, a baseball bat, and it actually shot out bubbles out of the end of it. I thought this was so cool. And then you got all these bubbles in the air, then you would use your bat and smash them, right? Like you get practice. So I'm showing this to a bunch of executives at a major toy company, and I swung it, and the mechanism didn't work, and I just laced everyone on the other side of the table with bubble solution, and I looked kind of stupid. So that was a huge failure. We went back and tweaked it and made the mechanism bulletproof, and it did really well in the marketplace. So yeah, but there's you laugh at it now. It wasn't so funny then, but
but resilience.
Yes.
That's what I hear when Brendan's talking about. You've got to have grit. You've got to be resilient. You've got to bounce back from those things.
I think what you get out of the course, what design thinkers and what IDEO U is all about is being optimistic, because you want to invent or innovate a better future, whatever sort of category you're working in, which is always kind of a neat mindset thing again.
Yeah. I'm going to tackle this one. I just want you to know, Em's very excited. John from Wisconsin. She's a Wisconsin girl. So she's like, John's here from Wisconsin. I'm going to pass this one to you to think a little bit about. But so John asks, how do you help teams keep their creative ideas alive as they face the general challenge of will it fly? Oh, this is fantastic. So every day here at IDEO, we come up with ideas, whoever we're working with, whatever team, and a lot of times people will say, we've done it before. That idea is not new. Or that's not going to work. We've tried something, or that flies against the face of everything that we've done in the past. So we've done it, or it's just not possible. And that is constant in the world of innovation. Those are the questions that are always coming back to you. So resilience, first and foremost, but that is why prototyping is so important. So you come up with ideas, you have a brainstorm, you do a mashup, any of these techniques, then you've got these really early stage ideas. You know, here's one that I just kind of brought with me this morning. It's like a new interface on a mobile phone.
Hold that a little closer to the screen. There you go.
You know, here we are. There's a welcome screen. We're working out things. We're like pushing ideas forward. We're asking ourselves questions. We have more buttons we can add and change. And so we're working out, what is this experience? How's it going to work? At the level of a brainstorm idea, anything can be done before and anything can be wrong. It's really easy to throw out something. But as you really work forward through the nuances of an idea, through how that idea is executed, what are the details of how it's distinctive from the prior implementations of the past, or how is it working through that keyhole to find the solution that fits with different ways than you've done things in the past. So it's those series of prototypes that keep the momentum going and that slowly allow other people to come in. When they give you criticism, it's like, that's great, but now how might we move forward? What's a solution? And so those are ways that you can use the process of prototyping to engage and positively engage other stakeholders.
I think that leads really well into this question here. So read that for us.
All right, so from Ashish, I'm enrolled. Thank you, Ashish. We look forward to seeing you in the inside of the class. And so excited. What expertise is needed for prototyping? And do I need to be creatively inclined? Do I need to be a tech expert? I'm worried about this phase.
I think the prototype you just showed, anyone watching could make that, but it's really clever. It's a digital experience, but it's made tangible just out of paper, right? Suze took some, hold that up again. It was so cool. This is the way we prototype. My group's done 15, 20 different apps. We'll start at this level. This is all about the thinking. We'll talk about this in the course too, but no, you don't have to be a tech expert. You have to be willing to think diverse and creatively, and we'll walk through those. And so yeah, I wouldn't be worried about that phase. I think you'll have fun in that phase. folks who haven't prototyped before, because we walk through a bunch of techniques that are very simple, but it allows you to take something here, or even a sketch form, and push it one level further, which makes your idea more understandable. And that's great, because that's the way you get ideas out into the world. You have to get people to share them with someone, not just talk about them.
I have to say, I love this question because I often call myself the worst designer at IDEO. I think I make the ugliest prototypes, the worst sketches. But what I love is that I came here as a social scientist, and I have learned the mindsets of prototyping and the skills of prototyping. So now I can work through a scenario to bring ideas to life without having deep technological or design skills. At the same time, what you will get through this course, we do provide other resources. We provide some things that you can find on the web that we use. Some are free, some are paid. And then inside of that course, the conversation amongst the community is amazing.
Yeah.
People are sharing tips.
We have one more prototype question. Now I want to jump to a question from Kim. So this is from Bill. Can you share some more about different types of prototypes? Conceptual ideas such as a school curriculum, as opposed to ideas that are physical. Yeah. For us, prototyping can be physical, be digital, it can be an experience, systems, but it has to be tangible. So think about tangible. This thing that Suze just showed that was tangible, but she didn't have to go into any programming or anything like that. For a school curriculum, you were working on that down in Peru, right? So
yeah, we've worked on school curriculums all over the place. The fact is, with a curriculum, you can begin designing it with Post-its, and it's a really collaborative way to get everybody in the room to shout out different things that they're thinking about as part of the curriculum, to start to move those elements around.
If we're redesigning a service, like a quick service restaurant, we'll foam core, mock up different where the desk or the checkout places, but that's not important at all. It's about the flow. Where are people walking through, right? So we'll have lines on the floor and test different things and see if people are bumping into each other or not. So it's like, how fast can you make something tangible?
Yeah, back to the list Brendan was talking about. Instead of thinking about a curriculum, maybe you're just listing things that might be taught. And that takes it down a notch, makes it a little easier for people to engage.
All right, from Kim, you didn't say where you are, but we know you're out there. What are some of your favorite resources, books, blogs, other learning resources? Yeah, that's a really great question. It's all around being inspired. And the first course talks heavily about inspiration. But for me, what I love to do, and I'm fortunate, I travel quite a bit for my I call it work, but we call it engagement. Or so I see so many people who travel, just get to the hotel late that night, go to the meeting room, and then get back to the airport. And there's so many great resources or things to be inspired in that city. So see if you can bookend yourself at least an afternoon. Find a museum, find a retail store that you don't have in your area, and get out there and be inspired. So that's great. My team, we share a instant message group, so we can constantly be sending photos and things like that, and that keeps them all in one area, which is really fun. And that's cool. I just read a book called The Art of Possibilities by the conductor of the Boston Philharmonic and his wife. It was really inspiring. So that's cool. And yeah, so it's a lot of neat stuff. But the important thing is, it's up to you to keep yourself inspired, right? Don't rely on someone else, and it's fun.
Yeah, inside of the course, we have such a wealth of things to inspire us, and are constantly sharing about the 700 plus of us at IDEO. Yeah, we've taken a subset of those things, and there are resources there in the course.
Yeah,
if you get through everything else, there's tons more to read, and then again, conversation flies. From CB, also enrolled. Yay! Welcome to the IDEO U community. Are there spaces in the course to connect and work with others? Yes, absolutely. Yes. We've just integrated with some new software. And at least two things are available to you. One is that when you join the platform and come into the course, you pick a team. And so you can be the person to propose a team, give it a title, attract other people toward you. And a team is about 5 or 6 people who want to gather and work on a challenge together or give each other feedback. You have special team working spaces where you can connect more deeply. Other than that, there's a conversation across the entire platform of people constantly sharing the activities that they're doing, what they see, giving each other feedback. That community might not be the reason you've joined IDEO U, but it is something that you are absolutely going to love. And then the last thing that we do is that we don't run meetups ourselves, but we do provide tools and information with our community guides about how you can run your own meetup locally. So once you get onto the platform, you can say where you are in the world, You can find out where other people are in the world. And if you want to facilitate a get together face to face, we find people just, their learning goes through the roof and it really increases. So that really helps. And how do you pick people to be on your design team? So again, in the software inside of our platform, when you sign in, there's a whole section on how to find a team. You can be the person to start that conversation and propose a team and invite other types of people that you would like to work with. It could be around, I'm in Tokyo and I want other people who are here in Tokyo, or I'm in healthcare and I want other people who are passionate about healthcare, or I speak Chinese and I want to work with other people who want to do this in Chinese.
Good question, Mark. Thanks.
Yep.
All right.
Anything else coming in? We doing all right? Tell me something that's inspiring to you in this moment in time that you're working on, because there's something recent that you can talk about. That's
I'm really inspired by, because there are a lot of meetings, and those in the workforce corporate world usually have lots of meetings. I'm interested in this sort of concept of reinventing, you would call it an icebreaker, I call it the warm-up, to get these groups thinking a little differently at the start of the meeting, and trying some different exercises, really fast ones, but then tying that little warm-up into whatever we're doing for that session. If we're doing a brainstorm, then it's an ideation warm-up. If we're doing a converging thing, then it's something like that. Or if we're thinking about a presentation, how do we reinvent the presentation so it's more playful and more interesting? So I'm thinking a lot about that, and then I'm also working a lot with companies around changing their culture into more playful, not in the sense of play in like break time. Breaks are great, but more in the sense of play behaviors. Thinking about those play behaviors and how does that make your culture, company culture, a better place to work and more innovative. So those are some of the areas I'm really excited about right now.
Yeah, I think those are all amazing. Actually, one thing I want to do in the last few minutes is invite you guys on that notion of how do you do warm-ups and get people inspired and get people more creative. Come back to that mashup and share with us something that you might be working on. You can send this in through the
mashup's a great warm-up. I've used that hundreds of times for a warm-up. It's a great technique to come up with ideas, but it's also a warm-up idea too.
Yeah, so I think right now in the Q&A link or to us in Twitter afterwards, we really want you guys to commit to trying the mashup in something in the next week. And feel free to share that to us. I think that would be really fun to hear what people are doing, and we'd love to hear how it goes for you. But this is such a simple technique to use, so I think it's a great place to start. All right, a couple more questions. We probably have time for one or two more. Oh, this is a great one. Any tips for prototyping systems as opposed to products? Any great practices you've seen work?
What do you have on that, Suze?
So for systems, the way I often think about a system, let's take an entire school system or an entire healthcare system, or actually one of my favorite projects I was talking about in the beginning is the work we're doing right now with LA County and the voting system. So in any system, there are multiple facets and multiple touch points. If you break it down to that level, then you start to think about different things to prototype. So with LA County, yes, it's really easy to figure out how to prototype a voting machine. But in addition, part of the system is the role of the volunteer or poll worker. Now that's harder to think about prototyping. There it's, what are the steps? What's the protocol? What's the, we think a lot about what's the script that poll worker needs to have. And those are things that can also be prototyped. So there's the role, there's the script, there's the service, there's the product. And then sometimes there's even the policies. And even policies can be prototyped for government projects. It comes back to something like a curriculum. Think of it as a list.
We've designed airline seats, and we always have this discussion at the beginning with the airline. It's like that we can redesign that seat so it'd be awesome, but there's so many more touch points along that system, from online ticketing to the actual ticket you get, which is terrible and confusing, to waiting in line, and then all those sort of things. All those are design touch points. All can be solved. So it's all a system. We'll argue almost a great experience should start thinking about the system.
All right. Do we have time for one more question? All right, one more question.
Gustavo has, how do you persuade teams to do things differently? What mechanisms can management implement to promote innovative thinking in teams? And I think kind of the question behind the question is, I got some stiffs in my office that don't want to innovate, and it's really tough, challenging. So one, it's really tough to persuade people. I think you find some cohorts that are like-minded as you, and then you try some of these techniques and you get a little excitement going on in the corner, and then other people want to join in the fun. Like if you're having fun and you're innovating, and again, you could call it an experiment and get some management sort of a buy-in. Just say it's an experiment. Once people see the, new techniques, new ideas happening, then hopefully it'll spread. So that's the best chance of trying to do it. Because it's really, really challenging.
Yeah, last thing I'll share there, just because I'm so excited about this, is that we are producing another course that comes out on May 18th. It's called Leading for Creativity with IDEO CEO Tim Brown. And in that course, we talk a lot about how leaders of an organization need to set the conditions for creativity to thrive across any organization. And so it's things like what Brendan's talking about, plus much more.
So you have those techniques in this course, and then you'll have that thinking there. So for sure, we're excited if you can take this course. It's going to be super fun, super interesting. The office hours are great, and we have a ton of touch points. We have community managers that are helping you along. Yeah. It'll feel very interactive. You can join up with other people as much or as little as you want. I think that's a really cool part of the course. Some people love it. Some people want to work a little more by themselves. So yeah, super exciting.
All right, so just wrapping up here, the course launches on April 13th and runs through May 18th. Here's a link for you. We're going super high tech with our links here in this, but you can go to this link, ideo.to/ideas, or just go to our website, ideou.com. It's so great to have you here. We invite you. We know learning is better when it's social, so we invite you to share this with your friends. We have mechanisms set up so that you can take it with an entire team at work. If you have any questions, just contact us at either on Twitter or at hello@ideou.com. So
thanks everybody
for joining us. Thanks
you.
Brendan for coming in this morning. Have a great rest of your day. Happy weekend.